Hello. Have a real on real discussion on real estate and talk a little bit more about um, trending ways to invest your money these days. A really, I guess it's a trending way. But yeah, welcome again. We are NAPA. If I could stay on this page, can I stay on that page? Great. We are NAPA, the Nigerian American Professional Association. I'd like to highlight some pieces about, or I'd like to just highlight our mission to give everyone more of an insight if you may not be aware of our group. Our mission is to serve as the voice of the Nigerian and Nigerian American community here in the Chicagoland area by truly empowering a cohesive network of professionals for professional excellence and community advancement. And we do that through events like this one. Luckily, we have Crystal as a resource here in Chicago, and she's been a longtime friend of mine, and I've just been super inspired by her work. And she was able to join us on one of our previous town hall events that we held earlier this year, and the people wanted to have her back. So we decided to host this series and give the people what they want. So definitely excited to kick off the series tonight, the first of 3 series starting at 7 o'clock for the next 2 Thursdays, for the next few Thursdays, remaining Thursdays in this month. And I hope you all will be able to join us and just kind of keep up with us through the series. And we hope that it's just kind of a very informative and open forum for us to all just get more information on trends in the current market and just all get informed on what's going on today. But we hope that you all will find a lot of value in tonight's event. I'm sure that you will. And we hope that you all would also join NAPA. We are running a current membership special, I believe until the rest of the month. And we hope that you're able to kind of just join in on our mission and join in on the huge network of professionals that we have here at NAPA, and just so many more benefits that we could chat on and on about. But it would be an honor to have you all participate and tag along on our team along with our board members. But a little bit about Crystal to kind of just set the stage here. Crystal's an Illinois-based realtor and landlord. She is a graduate of UIC, the University of Illinois at Chicago, where she majored in public health and minored in sociology. Shortly after graduation, she took her skills into real estate, where her goal is not only to assist buyers and sellers, but to change the life and course of young professionals through ownership. And I believe that watching her has definitely inspired myself to make some changes and actually get out and move and look into ownership. So I definitely agree with her biography and can see a lot that she's definitely transforming lives and inspiring the new generation and beyond with how she's moved through her experience in real estate. But yeah, tonight we will be discussing eliminating student loans through home ownership. There's a lot that goes into that. So I will let Crystal jump right into that. And I will also start the recording just so everyone is aware. And yeah, Crystal, the floor is yours.
Man, thank you, Napa, for like literally inviting me to literally work with you all. Um, it's such a pleasure to really be having this conversation. Like she said, I graduated from UIC with a public health degree. Even stuff my public health degree, nobody usually sees it. Mm, let me not do too much, but it's up there. But my I don't even know if public health, to be honest, was the correct degree for me, but I knew my main focus was that I wanted to change young adults' life course. And I was thinking one day, I was like, man, like I became a realtor. Was my degree useless? Like what was the purpose of that? And then when I really sat back and thought and talked with my friends, I was like, although I'm a realtor now, but I'm still working in my purpose that I had in college. I'm helping change and shape people's life course. And I truly believe that real estate has the option to do it. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I'm a realtor. So I may be a bit biased, but I love real estate. And I really do believe that it has the ability to change your life course, my life course, and your family's life course. Man, I could go in through so much about this, but yeah, I guess we can start. So like she said, I'm a realtor, I'm a landlord, I'm a content creator, and literally my goal is to improve people's life course. So before this program came on, I was teaching people how to purchase your first property as a young adult. And that's what I did specifically for me. So after graduation, I was able to close on a 4-unit property, and I have 3 tenants. I live in 1 unit and I live for free right now, right? So I was able to do that as a 24-year-old. And my goal is like, wait, nobody knows about this. Nobody that looks like me is really doing this. So I started kind of teaching it in my type of flavor. Not so you know how if you look on Instagram or whatever, you see like the old like white men teaching real estate. And that's okay. But I put it with my flavor, my spin, my personality. And I truly believe it's enlightening, or at least I guess bringing interest to many young adults. So I'm super duper happy to be partnering with NAPA. Before I go in about myself too much, but I really just want to talk about what we'll be going over this month. And I really do think that is super duper important if you all can join us, because there's going to be so much value. I usually charge $60 for everything that I'm going to be or consultation fee for all the information that I'm going to be like teaching you all this month. I usually charge a cute fee with it, but I really do ask that you come, you get your paper, your pen, and really take notes, because I'm not giving you fluff. This is extreme value. Oh my goodness. It's probably client, but I'll call them after because I'm focused on you guys. But the information that I'm going to tell you is really valuable and can really change your life as well as your family's life. So don't take it lightly. Please get your notes, your pens, because we're going to go into to a lot of value. So this week we're going to be talking about eliminating student loans through home ownership. Now I know a lot of you guys are thinking like, girl, you're reaching, that's not possible, but no, I'm definitely going to be sharing that information with you. Next week, we're going to be talking about how to live for free in 2021. It is definitely possible. If you heard my content, it's pretty much the same thing, but there's a lot of differences that we need to do differently in 2021 versus 2019. So that's going to be really, really great value. Next week, I promise you, this is value that people pay for. And the last one is we're going to be talking about property investment and house flipping. Now, please keep in mind that this could be for the newbie. So if you never even looked at a hammer, to people that actually do this on the daily, the value is going to be crazy. So I really, really, really do hope that, you can join us for these sessions. Okay. Whoa, that was the introduction of the session. So kind of really to explain myself, like Choma said, my name is Crystal. While coaching online, I go as Crystal Adamma. My focus, my purpose, like she said, is to basically increase to better young adults life course. I want us to have the tools to be successful. I don't want us to be in our 40s and 50s and we're looking at our mates like, oh my God, they're doing this, but I'm over here. I want us to be the ones actually booking out islands. And yes, I said islands, booking out islands and enjoying your birthdays, enjoying your family, having the option. Let's not even talk about booking out islands. That's a personal goal of mine, by the way. But let's talk about having options, because especially in today's market, you see that you have to go to work, you have to do this, you have to do that. and you don't have the option if you're sick. Now that goes your whole paycheck. So I really, really, really do. I'm just trying to drive in the point that this real estate thing is super serious. And even if this program is not right for you, you have the opportunity to pass this information on to somebody that is similar to you or somebody that this may work for. So I really do ask that you listen, take notes, pass it on to your friend. And in the event that you guys are ready to purchase, are ready to, move forward, definitely hit me up. My email is in the chat box, and I would love to assist and really bring value to all of you all, because on the realtor side, it is definitely a lot of stuff that you need to know to kind of be prepared. But I got you. I learned it. I do it with my clients, and you all won't be any different. Lastly, I do have an ebook. Before I start, I do have an ebook that explains the 31 things that I wish I knew before I purchased my property. I feel like I did so much research on how to obtain my property, but I didn't do enough research on how to actually maintain my property. So when I actually got my keys, I was like, oh my God, I closed. Now what? Now I have 3 tenants. And now, because of me being so happy go lucky, I'm over here knocking on tenant's door. Hi, my name is Crystal. I regret that to that day. So I do have an ebook that's also, the link is also in the chat box. I gave NAPA a really discounted code that as soon as this is over, probably after I eat my mom's fries in the kitchen, I'm going to discontinue that code. It's literally, so my ebook sells for $30. I put a code of $20 and 1 cent. So you'll be purchasing it for $9.99 if you're interested. That's really unheard of. That's a big, that's more than half. Like, oh my goodness. But I really do love what NAPA does, and I do want to add value and make it easy as possible for you all. So I said my spiel. But definitely let's get into it. So let's start with an activity. I know you all are probably taking notes, and a lot of you have your video off, which is completely fine. I probably would be doing the same if I was in your position, but I really want this to be fun and a conversation. And I don't want to feel like I'm teaching and just sharing. I want us to have a conversation. So my first question to anybody that wants to answer, now y'all don't leave me hanging. What opportunity would you have if you were able to eliminate your student loans? Again, my question is, what opportunity would you have, or how would life be easier for you if you were to be, or if you were able to eliminate your student loans? Can anybody answer?
Hello? Hi. Oh,
A guy was speaking.
yeah. Hello. Hi. Can
Mhm.
you hear me?
Yes.
I am Alyssa Okafor here. Yeah, I think it's a game-changing situation. Like when I think of my friends, once you wipe that out, you can start wealth building, right? It's sort of the one thing that anchors our generation down financially. And I think you're spot on when you said that it's sort of a game changer. I've been doing this now for my last year, and I can tell you that if I had started doing this in my 20s, and this is not even high, I mean, we'll be financially set for life. And I wish we got into this earlier. So yes, it's the truth. I agree with you.
That's good. Thank you for that insight. I know one of the people that I look to in this real estate game, who is he works closely with my brokerage, but his name is Jamal King. And something special that he says is that for every bill he has a building for it. So for his children's private schooling, he has a bill. For his vacation fund, he has a building. For like whatever, for his healthcare, he has a building. And I think that that's so important, because oftentimes we're using the money that we so hard what we work for, and we pay everybody first, and instead of a building working for us and paying us and allowing us to have options, wealth, and so it's so important. And that's my reason for speaking about this to young people, so that they don't say what you just said, so that they can say, man, I'm so glad that this girl I saw online, she was talking about real estate, she was kind of cool, she was seeing this, I did more research, and I actually got into it into my 20s, and now I have 10 buildings in my 30s or my 40s, and now I'm able to provide options. So I think that's super duper dope. So thank you for your input. Anybody else? I know Masi, oh, I don't know if I was supposed to say your name, girl. Oh my God, I'm sorry. But you talked about having more money to buy real estate, and I completely agree. But you know, the thing about it is that I think we should be kind of doing both simultaneously. So obviously paying your student loans off, um, and saving, because at the end of the day, the student loans will be there. Some people have 40, 50, 60,000. The student loans will be there. So you better like literally, like obviously keep them obviously in good standing, but also save money so that that money can work for you. I didn't tell you all this, but I purchased my building. I think I brought about $19,000 to the closing table. That $19,000 is working for me. I see income from that every month. I'm able to have a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment, and it's a cute building. I can't wait until I move out so I can post it on Instagram, but it's really a beautiful building. You know, so it's, you know, so obviously, yes, we want to keep our loans in good standings, but we also need to, you know, continue to save. Can we get one more person? Give in an input, please.
Hi, this is Kittist. I actually was going to move to Illinois. I remember reaching out to you to find a place to stay, but that didn't happen because of COVID. But I think for me, getting rid of my student loans would mean that I wouldn't have to get into my, 9-to-5 salary and pay for things like, my student loans, and I can put that into like savings, like a, investment or Roth IRA, like that can go into that kind of things and like things for the future instead of, I guess things in the past, because I'm out of school now.
And that's so good. I mean, that's real. Be able to use that money to actually do what you want to do, or to actually multiply it, because it goes to student loans, and they're eating the money. So I think, and that's why I wanted to kind of ask that question, because this program really does allow you to eliminate your student loans. I do have to start off because I remember you, I know, and I can't wait until the time you're able to move to Illinois, because I got you. But I do remember that, you're out of state. So this program is an Illinois-based program, but I say the but really, really loudly, because in the event that you meet all the other requirements, and I'm speaking, obviously to everyone, but in the event that you all meet the requirements, and I know our jobs are kind of virtual right now, so your job may have the ability to allow you to work in a different state and be able to, like, it will be considered like relocation, but you're still working for the company. If you're able to do that here, I think this is the perfecto the perfecto time to do it, really. Oh, somebody also said, hold on, getting rid of my student loans would allow me to put the money into the buildings but I already own. I agree. Right now I have buildings, but getting the financing to work on them is the problem. I'm asset rich but cash poor. Oh, that's so interesting. That is so interesting. And you know what, we're going to talk about that, I think the last week when we're talking about investments, but even just to give you some, some tips so that you can start researching, I would even advise that you see the equity on that property that you own right now. So if you have a lot of equity, what you can do is maybe use a hard money loan and be able, since you already have the asset, use that loan to basically add value. So add value, increase, the value of the property. And if it's worth it, I might just work with a realtor or message me my email address and we can talk a little bit further. But if there's equity there, you can use a rehab loan, hard money loan, and be able to change it, fix it. And then now that's after you fix it, the value of the home will increase and you're able to recuperate that money that you put into it. So essentially, since you already have the building, let's say your building is worth $200,000 in its current state, but once you fix it up, it's going to be worth $400,000. If you use a rehab loan, take $100,000 and you, add a value into it. Now you're all in $300,000. Well, actually, it depends on how much you own the property. But let's say you only owed $50,000 on the property. So now, since you only owe $50,000 on the property, you used $100,000. That means you're all in $150,000. But although you use that loan, now the value is at $400,000. So now you have equity of like $250,000. So I mean, you can definitely, look into that. And if you have any questions, definitely let me know. But yeah, I guess we can start on this process, because if you guys haven't realized, I love to talk. I can talk, but it's time to talk about the eliminating the student loan, so we can go and start on that. So essentially, IDA, which is the Illinois Housing Development Authority, created a program on December 2020, basically to eliminate student loans through home ownership. Exactly what I said. It is crazy. It is crazy, crazy, crazy. We have been trying to get this thing pushed since forever, but I'm so glad it passed so that I can, promote this and share this information with you all. But it is so. So this program is super duper cool. It offers two main points in this program. So the first main point is that they give you $5,000 to your closing costs and down payment. So obviously, when you close on your home, you have a down payment and you have closing costs that you need to bring. So this loan allows you to get $5,000 for your closing costs and down payment. And the super cool thing about this program is now they offer 15% of the purchase price of the home. They put it towards your student loans. So when I say that, there's no partial payments with this program. So the goal is to eliminate, not help you pay off, and then in 20 years, you then go out and pay the rest. No, the goal is to eliminate student loans. So that 15%, that goal is to take care of your student loans. Now let's give an example, because I love to give examples and I want to make sure that you understand this. And you guys, I may go on quickly, but if you have any questions, please stop me or type them in the chat. If you don't want, if you don't feel like talking, type them in the chat and ask me the questions. There's no stupid questions, because I want to make sure you get this. You need to get this by the time we're off the phone. There should be no questions in your head. Okay, so let's say you have about $30,000 in student loans, right? And you buy a 2-flat building for $250,000. So 15% of $250,000 is $37,500. So in the event that your student loans is $30,000, your student loans will be wiped away. Wiped away. It will be wiped away when you purchase that home. But in the event that, let's say your student loans is $40,000, then 15% is still $37,500 of $250,000. But you would be expected to bring $2,500, because remember, I said, I think Mutayat, I'm so sorry, girl. Yes, I did put $18,000 on my home because I purchased a 4-unit building. I can break it down a little bit later, but yeah, it was about $18,000 to $20,000. But yeah, so in the event that your student loans is $40,000, you'll be expected to bring $2,500, because like I said, guys, the goal is to eliminate your student loans through home ownership. Perfect. So one of my clients, we actually closed last Friday. She had about $30,000 in student loans. She bought a condo in Bronzeville. Not going to share her numbers, but she had, I think, $30,000 in student loans. At closing, she paid their check. The closing table, the IDA, they wrote her a check to mail off to her her student loan program, and her student loans are paid off. And what the irony is so crazy, because I remember seeing her Facebook post, and she was like, I guess I'm gonna wait until Biden pays off my student loans, or I'm not paying it at all. And I was cracking up when I saw that. But then as soon as I heard this program and I knew she was one of my clients, I said, girl, I think this may work for you. Let me run you these details. And she was able to trust me. We went through a hard process, because this is a new program. And unfortunately, when you're working through a new program, you're going through, you're one of the first to kind of go through the crinks. But luckily, her team was well established, really professional. And we were able to get her to that closing table. So now she has her condo and her student loans are paid off. So another thing about this program is they do have a max. So the max amount of money that you can use from this program is $40,000. So let's say you were to buy a condo that was $350,000. Now 15% of this program, 15% of $350,000 is obviously more than $40,000. So in the event that you do that, the most that you'll be able to get is $40,000. So in the event that, let's say you buy, Yeah, so it's $40,000. So let me give you this other example. And you also asked another question. This program is issued by the Illinois Housing Development Authority. So in short, we call it IDA, IHDA, and it is called the Smart Buy Program. So if you guys were able to go and like Google or something and search Smart Buy Illinois, that document will pop up. But I'm giving you guys, so the document will pop up, but it's not going to give you as much information as I'm going to give you tonight. So check it out just to double check and make sure it's real, because it is real. But just do it to calm your own nerves down. But once you find out that it's real, this webinar is definitely going to give you all the info. And this, somebody asks, is this a first time home buyers program? We're going to get to that. So
my nigga, what up, boss?
What's happening, sir?
Man, shit. I'm actually on this Zoom.
Uh-oh. Oh.
No, hold on a second. I'm okay back. No, I was trying to get some information on the home buyer stuff from a friend of mine. That's all that was.
Oh, okay, no problem. I was like, uh-oh.
No, it's all right.
No, you're good. You're good. Okay, so in the event that your student loans is, let's say, $50,000, and in that other event you purchased a let's say $320,000 condo, obviously that's more than $40,000 once you do the 15%. So you would be expected to bring the remaining amount of money to closing. So let's get our handy dandy calendars or calculators out, excuse me, because I want to give you guys real specific numbers, and obviously try to do it on your own so that you guys could, so that you guys can really understand this program. So let's say you were to buy a condo for $320,000. If you do 15%, yeah, oh, what? Let me make sure my own math is correct before I come out and embarrass myself. Okay, perfect. So if you buy a condo for $320,000, 15% of that is $48,000. Obviously, that's more than the $40,000. So the max that you'll be able to get is $40,000. If your student loans is $50,000, you would be expected to bring the additional $10,000 to the closing table. Okay, so like I said before, this goal is to eliminate your student loans, not pay any partial payments. So just keep that in mind. What else can I say about that portion? So I mean, it really just depends. So I have people, well, my preferred lender, she was telling me stories how the people that she's working with, they have over 100,000 in student loans, but they used the whole 40,000 and they were able to have that $60,000 to pay off the remaining student loans so that IDA, which is the Smart Buy program, can pay off the additional or pay off that 40,000. So it really just depends, right? So now let's go into how to qualify for this program, because I know I'm getting questions, girl, this sounds cute, but how do I qualify? And I'm definitely here to share that. So the first thing that you need to have is a 640 credit score. It's preferred to have a 660, but they are willing to work with you if you have a 640 credit score. Another criteria is that they do want to see that you have filed your taxes 3 times. In the event that you have not filed your tax, you would have to show that you were a dependent of someone, right? So, just take that as you will. A lot of people ask me like, okay, but does college count? I just graduated, or I'm graduating in like May. Will that count? And yes, that counts. You just have to show your degree, your transcripts, and now your full-time job and your offer letter and how much you're making, and then that should be fine. And also another thing is that your debt to income ratio should be $45,000 or less. So essentially what that means is that your debt should be $45,000, or your debt, should be 45% or less. So let's say you make let's say the average people that come to this program make $5,000 a month. If you don't make $5,000 a month, it's okay, but I'm just using the average. So $5,000, and if you do times 0.45%, that means your debt cannot be more than $2,250. if you make $5,000 a month. So that's the first criteria for this program. I know I see the chat is going super crazy. Does anybody have any, do you guys have any questions? You want to use the mic to ask any questions? Oh, before I let you ask any questions, Davida asked a good question. Is this a first-time home buyer program? Yes and no. So I say no because you could have had property before, but you currently cannot have property now, meaning that you would have had to sold that property to be able to take advantage or will be able to use this opportunity. So you cannot own any property in this present moment. If you do, you would have to sell it before you're able to use this program. Oh, let me add, okay, let me ask to unmute.
I have a question.
What's up?
I'm driving, I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Can you hear me? Okay. I'm in chapter 13, so I'm very fortunate. My student loans have been wiped away. I have no student loans. Thank God for that. Because of what Biden passed. I don't have, because I'm in social work. So I'm in the chapter 13. I've been in it for over a year now. And so I wanted to know, I heard rumors, because I'm looking at investment property, using a first-time home buyer, options, but investment. So I'm looking about like a 3-flat with a storefront. So I can have a storefront for my business, because I'm an LLC, and then I have a 3-flat attached to it. So I'm trying to figure out, can I actually do that as a first-time home buyer? Is this the same criteria?
That's a good
question.
question.
Like a single family.
That's a good question. So you have introduced a lot of points into that question. So you said a business. Okay, first let me tell you this. So when you're buying, how can I say? So when you're buying when you're taking advantage of a first-time home buyer program, more than likely you'll be using an FHA loan. So when you're using an FHA loan, it has to be your primary residence, and it has to be a residential home. It cannot be commercial. So in the fact that there's a storefront in that building, that considers your property a commercial property. So that won't qualify for a FHA loan. Answer that question. And then you also brought up LLC. So like I said before, an FHA loan is a primary resident, or is for your primary residence. So you cannot put FHA loans in your business name. You would have to either go commercial, and that would be 20% because it's an investment property, or you would have to maybe do a hard money loan, flip it, then refinance it into a 30-year mortgage. But yeah. Was that it? Oh, but what you can do.
What I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go ahead.
I was saying that what I try to tell people.
I was thinking. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
What I was thinking is I was gonna to my business. So I was gonna use it's gonna be my personal property, but I'm renting it to the LLC. The space, the actual storefront, because it'd be like a 3-flat with a storefront, that type of thing. Because I'm trying to set up like a healing center, so it would be like the storefront. I will own it as an individual, but I will rent the actual space to my business.
And yeah, that's definitely possible. But the only thing about that is that if it's an actual storefront, then that would make the property a commercial property. Therefore, it won't qualify to be your primary residence. So you won't be able to use an FHA loan. In the event that you use a commercial loan, the amount of money that you have to bring to the table would be a lot more.
Okay.
But no, definitely email me. And if you don't get home in time, because I put my email in the chat, but if you reach out to Choma or someone from NAPA, they can definitely get you in contact with me, and we can schedule a 15-minute call where we can go through some scenarios. I'll give you more information that will pertain to specifically you, and then, we can see what we can do, okay?
I'm muted, thank you.
Okay, no, you're fine, you're fine. It looks like Mutaya, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong.
It's all right, I know you're trying. It's Mutiat. Mutiat, or you can call, just call me Tia.
Tia, I'm so sorry.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Oh yeah, so my question, I'll lower my hand so that it's not staying up there. So I was the one who asked the question about whether or not you could use first-time home buyer credit, or loans, well, really the credit with the IDA program. But another question came up in my head, and that was, you know, if someone is 23 years old and they're buying a $200,000 condo, let's say, because you know you don't know if you're going to stay in the city. Life happens, and you might get married and move somewhere else, or relocate for your job. Yep, I'm just doing this calculation. You can let me know, you know, what you think about it. But I'm just dividing 200,000. Okay, let's say they move to Chicago and they say, okay, you know what? Maybe I'll stay in Chicago for 10 years out of my career. I'm going to divide that by 10. That gives me 20,000 per year. Divide that by 12, that comes out to 1,666. So now I'm thinking, okay, how beneficial is it for a 23-year-old to go ahead and purchase a $200,000 condo, not knowing if they're going to stay in the city longer than 10 years? And there are apartments for rent out there that might cost them less than 1,666. I don't know. I'm just coming up with a theory because I don't live in Chicago. So feel free to correct me.
No, that's a good question. And I think, Chom, I think when
and that doesn't include interest, the interest that they're paying as the years go by. You know?
I'm gonna dive into it, and it's so funny because I think, Chom, we talked about like renting versus owning, and I was like, "Whoa, girl, I don't know if I want to get into it because it's all about perspective." Now, like I said, I'm a realtor. I have my own property. So I'm telling you where I may be biased at, right? So the calculation that you gave, although it's a good attempt, more than likely it's wrong. And it's wrong because it's a lot of things that are so the taxes are factored in there.
Right.
If there's an association fee, your insurance is factored in there. And it would probably be a little bit less than that amount, but it really just depends on that specific home and the location of that property, right? So the thing about renting and owning, which is an interesting conversation, is that there's pros and cons on both ends, right? So when I purchased my property, the day after, which was October 1st, I was already getting contact emails or whatever from the tenants saying that, oh my God, my plumbing is not working. So in that event, who's gonna fix it? I'm like, in my head, I'm like, go talk to the landlord. I'm like, oh crap, I'm the landlord. She got to talk to, I got to figure it out, you know? So in that event, maybe if you don't want to deal with that, renting may be best for you. But remember what I said, October 1st was there. So I got 3 cute checks, and I didn't have to pay my mortgage on that first month, right? So I was able to pocket over $3K, and then, you know, use some of that funds to pay for that thing to be fixed. So it's really pros and cons. Also, when you're renting, you don't take advantage of the appreciation the appreciation in that neighborhood. So for just talking a little bit about this, because I know we're talking about this program, but right now in Chicago, the values of the homes are going crazy. Like if you own, like my parents, they own a 3-unit building in South Shore, right? They own less than $50,000 on it and collect over $1,000 for that unit. If we were able to fix it up, to bring it up to market value, first off, before I even go fixing it up, because I can't wait until I own that property, because it's a decent property. So they make over $1,000 on each unit, right? So their mortgage is less than $600. Well, let's say $600 on a 3-unit building that they pay $1,000 for, that people pays $1,000 for, right? In the event that we sell it with information that I have, I'm not going to sell it in its current condition. I'm going to tell, I forgot her name, but the advice that I gave to the first person I answered about getting a hard money loan, fixing it up, adding value. So instead of maybe my parents being into that property $50,000, maybe we put $150,000 into it, right? So now that property, now we're all in $200,000, but I'm able to sell that property for $500,000. So what does that mean? We just made $300,000 in profit if we were able to do that to that building. Those are numbers. Those are real numbers. I'm not just putting out my boot, but those are numbers in
No, I believe you.
So
and I love that you share that example because it reminds me of what an uncle said to me. I'll never forget him pulling me to the side. I went to his house for Christmas and he said, when you buy your first property, make sure it's a rental, something you can rent out, multifamily. And I remember thinking, no, I want my own house. I don't want to deal with other people. But the example that you just raised about the income earning potential of a building or a multifamily unit for your first property as opposed to just a home, I mean, it shows you right there why it would be more beneficial than just renting an apartment. So I just wanted to bring that up just for, people to consider when you're choosing what type of property you're gonna buy for your first.
Definitely. I mean, and like I said, I may be a little bit biased. And I know this I guess this has something to do with Ida, but people are always like, Crystal, what should I do? Should I get a single family home first? Should I buy a multi-unit first? What should I do? I don't know what to do. I'm like, that's a good question. So in my mind, I'm like, look, all of us on this call, we're either young. If you're a little bit older, that's great too, but you're on this call because you want to learn and you have a passion for increasing your money, right? So if we know where we want to go, any option that we go is not going to be easy. I have a 4-unit building. Let's thank God. But like you said, I'd rather be in my own single family home and not have to worry about the things that I'm worrying about, right? But I know my goal. I know where the option can take me. And apart from strategy and mindset, I can go on about that forever. But let's talk about financing. So when you purchase when you purchase your first-time home, more than likely you'll be using an FHA loan. So that's a first-time home buyer loan. It allows you to put 3.5% down, and it also allows you to do renovations on that home. Okay. So in the event that you buy your nice single-family home, you use the 3.5% down. Now in 2 years, you want to purchase an investment property. A lot of people will not go from a single family home to an investment property. So in that event, you would have to put 20% down because that's an investment property versus doing it the way that I suggest. The way that I suggest is buy your multifamily unit first.
Yeah.
You bought it first, so now you put 3.5%. Now the next year or 2 years, when you want to buy your single family home, you will only put 5% down because that's considered a second home mortgage, right? So that 20 and 5% is way different. And I mean, it's really important. So in all, to answer your question, there's pros and cons to renting versus owning. But for me personally, Crystal Wakocha, I personally think that there's more benefits if you own. I have a friend, he's on social media. I think he bought his home. He bought his home for, I think, $199. It was a 2-unit. He finished the basement off. And then a year later, he was able to sell it for $299. He made over $100K profit in a year. That's crazy, So, and obviously you guys are probably thinking like, oh my God, like I'm probably giving you all these big scenarios, all these ideas that are a lot to consume. But just to bring it back to what I said in the beginning, I really do encourage you to come back to these calls throughout the month, as well as contact me, and so that we can truly allow you to understand everything that I'm saying in depth.
Yeah, can I add something, please?
What's up?
Yeah, I think just to add to what you're saying, I think she's totally right. And I think your first move should be a multifamily unit, right? If you worried about, like, we're not landlords, we're investors, right? If you worried about, getting a plumbing call at 2 a.m, just hire a property manager, pay them 10% and forget about it, right? If you want guaranteed money, just use Section 8. I know people have kind of conflicting views on that. My experience has been great, easy money. The cash flow is almost criminal. Like I said, it's something that I would advise you guys to definitely do. Get a triplex, use a 2 or 3K loan. And as far as hard money lending, I use that. It's not as scary as it looks. If he's 10, 11, 12%, what do you care? They pay 85% of the property. If it's, I think it was a 70-30 LTV ratio, something like that. and then they pay 100% of rehab.
Mm-hmm.
It's a damn thing. You paid off in 6 months. Do the math. That's less than 4%, if that. And then the money is ridiculous.
I mean, he's speaking facts to you guys. And I know, like, when you're new to this, like, I'm only imagining when I was like 23. And if I would have listened to that, I would have been like, oh my God, like, what does that even mean? Like, what, 12%? What? I can't, look, that's the importance of working with, and I'm not even trying to like plug myself, but I was really thinking like, wow, like I have a lot of information to give. Like that's the plug of working with a knowledgeable realtor, because not all realtors are built the same, right? But I can go on a different story. But you want to work with a realtor that understands essentially what he said and gives you options and strategies that work best for you. So like he said, let's say you're a first-time home buyer and you're like, you know what? I really want to do this renovation thing, but I don't know I don't know anything. I don't even know what to do. You come to me, I provide that team for you. All you need to do is make sure that you can get approved for that loan. And I literally bring everything to you. I break down the deal and I bring the players to the deal so it can be able to assist you. So you'll be able to, like he said, use a 203K loan. And we're going to talk about it in another seminar. I think that's the last week, where you're able to rehab that property. And for me as a realtor, I'm not the one that will just send you a property and you look at it and you see, oh, it's cute, I want to do it. No, that's not what I do. I break down these numbers because although it's cute, it needs to make sense financially to make sure it's a good investment property, right? So, you know, and then he talked about hard money loan. That's super duper important. And we're going to talk about that on the last week, but being able to really look at those deals, finding the best financing section for you, and then be able to use it and go on with your very day. And I mean, it's a good strategy and tool. But you guys, there's probably more questions. Someone asked who just spoke. I'm sorry with these names. Lotif? Yeah,
Low. Yeah.
Low is the one that just spoke. If you want to, you know, just know who gave you that bomb strategy.
Mm-hmm.
So going back to this topic of the the Smart Buy program, which comes from IDA, which is IHDA, but it's a Smart Buy program. That's what we call it. You mentioned, oh my goodness. So you mentioned the seller's credit. So you definitely can use credits to purchase a home. So you can use seller's credit. There's also down payment assistance that you can get from your financing. But that really, seller's credit, it really just depends on the market that you're in as of right now. So if you were to contact me last year and you wanted to buy a multifamily unit, there's a possibility that you could have got seller's credit, you know, on that property. But in today's market for multifamily units, if something is newly rehabbed, it's not staying on the market longer than 5 days because there's multiple offers. So in the event, you usually don't get seller's credit, right? But even though, so this program is for single family home, townhomes, condos, and 2-flat buildings. So it doesn't allow you to do three flats or 4 flats. But in the event that you do want to buy a single family home, because there's people that is like, Crystal, that sounds cute, but this job is already doing me and I want to solely focus on my career and my job. And that's completely fine. There's no wrong answers to that. So you can definitely use that program to help assist with, to purchase your first time home or your single family home, right? So definitely keep that in mind. And you can use credits, right? So although I said that it's unlikely or it makes your offer a little bit weaker if you do ask for credits, and there's ways to ask for credits to not make your offer weaker, but you'll be my client and I'll be able to let you know more information on that. But if you're looking in the single family home space, the townhome condo space, you have the opportunity to ask for credits because it's less demand, right? So the demand on the multifamily is super crazy right now. After I get off the call with you, I'm going to be looking at my MLS, looking at new listings, if any new listings were put on the market that fit any of my clients' criteria while we were speaking, because it's just crazy. Like, you have to be on top of this market to get your clients a good deal. But at the end of the day, going back to this program, it accounts, you can buy a single family home, condo, townhome, or a 2-flat building. Okay, for this loan, you also have to go conventional, right? So you cannot use an FHA loan and you have to go conventional for the Smart Buy program. A lot of people, whenever you hear FHA, you normally think investing, renovation. So you cannot do it with this loan, meaning that you need to buy a property that's already turnkey. You can walk in and you can start moving in. So you can't do this. This Smart Buy program does not allow you to do renovations. So let's kind of talk about the cons. So every time I'm telling people all of this good information, they're like, Crystal, that sounds cute, but we want to hear the cons. How is this going to hurt us? Like, what's the cons? And I mean, you can consider them cons, but I don't, to be honest, think of them as cons, right? The cons. So you cannot refinance your home after 3 years of purchasing. So what does that mean? And it can be a lot of things, but essentially, so for example, during this pandemic season, I know you guys probably heard, oh my God, interest rates are at all-time low interest rates, right? So when I purchased in 2019, my interest rate was about, I think 4.2 or 4.5, but the lowest that I've seen any of my clients get was a 2.8. So that's a big difference, and that can change your cash flow or your monthly mortgage lower, right? It can make it a lot lower. So you won't be able to refinance for 3 years in this program. Now, although I say this, you have to think about what you're getting. Although you can't refinance, but as your realtor, if you decide to choose me, we'll be able to see, okay, before you put in a contract on this home, can you afford this mortgage? I won't have you say, oh, a house is cute, and then you put in an offer, and then you don't know how much you'll be paying per for your mortgage. So we'll break it down and say, okay, does this actually make sense for you? Can you afford this with your job? Once you confirm on that, we'll be able to put in an offer, right? Once we have an offer in, and that mortgage will stay. But we already did the work before, so that it's not like you're in a bad season in a couple of years, right? So you can't refinance for 3 years. Another thing is that you have to pay your monthly mortgage on time. I think there is a fee if you pay late. So the goal is just pay your mortgage on time, period. Another thing is that another con. So you do have to own the property for 3 years. In the event that you don't own the property for 3 years, there may be some, how can I say it? Some fees directed to you if you don't do it the right way. So obviously, if you work with me, another little small plug, we won't get you fined, but essentially, in order not to get fined, you have to sell it to somebody. So if you want to sell it before the 3 years, you have to sell that property to somebody that meets the IDA requirement. So essentially the requirements that you had to have to be able to get into this program. And I think, because I was answering some questions before, well, after I talked about the requirements, let me quickly go over it. For this program, you have to have a 640, but it is preferred if you have a 660. But if you have a 640, we'll be able to kind of work something out. It is preferred that you have 3 tax filings. In the event that you did not file your tax in any of those 3 years, you have to show paperwork showing that you were dependent of someone. Another thing is that your debt to income ratio has to be 45% or less of your gross income. Another one is that you have to make less than 109,420. So if you make 110, I'm sorry, you won't be qualified for the program. But if you make $109,420, you'll be qualified for the program. And your student loans have to be in good standing, right? So if it's in forbearance, that's completely fine. But if it's in forbearance and then maybe it got out of that and then you made payment plans and you defaulted on that and now it's in collections, you won't be qualified. So it does have to be in good standing. Does anybody have any questions about what we just specifically talked about pertaining to this program? And we can answer any other questions later on, but do you have any specific questions about this program?
I know it seems like for this program, you have to have Chicago or somewhere in Illinois as your main residence, right? What does that mean, the whole year, or can you be there part year?
That's a good question. That's a good question. So with this program, you have to show that that's a good question. And it's like, the answer that I want to give you is that you have to just show that you live in Illinois, right? You have to show that you live in Illinois, but you should also kind of make it seem to the underwriter that you'll be living in there too, because there was it was a little mix up in my situation with one of my clients where the underwriter didn't think that they'll be living there, and then it was a whole different problem. So I would definitely say, at least you will show that you're in Illinois, and the underwriter will think, okay, she's living in there, even though you don't have to technically live in there, but just to make your process a little bit more smoother, you'll be living in there. But specifically for this program, you just have to own this property for 3 years. You don't necessarily need to live in there. So a hack that I tell people, because some people are like, oh my God, Crystal, like, I don't know if I'm going to be staying in Illinois, you know, for the next, after 3 years, I may want to leave in 3 years. I say, okay, this is what you can do. Buy it now so that we can delete those student loans. What we're going to do is we're going to put a section or a CHA client, which is a Section 8 client, in your unit. So like my friend Lo said, it depends on the tenant that you have, because it depends on the household income that they bring in. So for him, it sounds like he gets a lot of money from CHA, but only for me, I get $59 out of about $1,000 from CHA. So my other tenant, she pays the rest, and CHA pays me $59. I've never heard of that, but that one taught me something. So it really just depends on the type of person they are, but we'll be able to kind of screen them to ensure that CHA is paying hopefully 50% or more, so that when you do go to a different state, right, you will be having, we'll already set an online system that the tenant will already pay your money, as well as your put any maintenance requests. Once they make a maintenance request, like they say, oh, my plumbing is not going down, you already have your plumber, you have your HVAC guy, you have your electrician, so that if anything goes wrong, you just call them and say, hey, there's something wrong with my property, go fix it. Take a picture before it, or as it's damaged, and then take a picture afterwards, right? And then get it confirmed that it was fixed by the tenant. So there's ways to kind of operate that in that situation if you do decide to move. But the fact that this program, they want you to, they're planning on eliminating your student loans, I definitely feel like you can make it work. So I know I just went around in your answer, but essentially you live in Illinois, but when we're doing it, we're not going to give hints to the underwriter that you're not, how can I say this? That you're not living in there, just to make your process a little bit smoother.
I just want to add to this real quick. Is that okay?
Of course.
Yeah. So about the CHA, right? So for you guys, if you want to use CHA, again, the reason I bring this up is we kind of had a situation where, because the economy during the COVID was kind of going to hell, people weren't paying their mortgages, right? Because, you know, they just didn't have jobs, or, you know, they couldn't work or whatever. Or some people just say, you know what, we're not going to pay rent. So strategy had to change. And with CHA, it's pretty much automatic money, right? So for as an example, so the participants have what they call a voucher, right? So you have a 1-bedroom voucher, which can go up to, I think, $1,355. 3 bedrooms up to $1,620. 4 bedrooms, $1,933. 5 bedrooms, $2,223. Now, they don't pay you all of it. They usually pay you most of it. And also they kind of take into consideration the neighborhoods. So for you guys, I mean, listen, you can be cash flow for some of these properties, literally, this sounds crazy, almost $1,000 a unit, if you depend on your mortgage. So it's really a great way to guarantee and protect yourself, so you can kind of pay your loans off faster, and you can cash flow and just get things out of the way.
So I would say, and I would definitely want to respond to that, because I don't want to give anybody unrealistic expectations. And yes, that's possible, right? But you have to want to make sure that you get a tenant that CHA is paying
The majority.
Yeah, CHA is paying majorities. Like, so for example, when I bought my building, they said Section 810. I said, dope. Out of $1,000 and something, I only get $59 from CHA, and the other person pays that $1,000 and something. But that's my favorite tenant, so that's not a problem. That worked out in my situation. And then you said cash flow $1,000 per unit. It depends on how much you buy the property, right? So exactly. In today's market, for a lot of the times that everybody wants the granite countertops, white shaker cabinets, hardwood floor. So that's pricey. If you look on the MLS, those homes, 2 flats are going for $300, right? So there's ways to make it work. So I wouldn't necessarily say that you would be cash flowing 1,000 per unit if you buy it at market rate. You may be able to cash flow that much if you do the renovations yourself, and we're going to talk about that in the last session of this month. But I definitely want to put into the concept that everything that you said is true. I'm not denying it, but there's strategy that comes with it, right? So if you're working, definitely going to put myself, if you're working with someone that's knowledgeable, that will be able to direct, because don't think you're going to put in an offer for a $300,000 building and you're cash flowing $2,000 a month. If it's only a 2 unit, that's not going to happen, right? Especially if it's not in Bronzeville, Hyde Park or above, right? Yeah. So just keep that in mind. There is a lot of strategy, but don't be afraid. Don't say, oh my God, this is too complex. Don't say, oh my God, I don't know what to do, because NAPA has literally brought you a professional explaining it to you and willing to have further conversations after this so that you're able to truly understand it, right? So don't think of this as too hard, because if I can do it, child, you all can do it as well. But no, I really do appreciate that insight. I'm glad we had that kind of conversation, because a lot of people have that conversation, like they think they're going to make that much, but if you don't have the strategy like you do behind it, you're not going to make it. You're not going to make that amount of money that you want, right? So yeah. Does anybody have any other questions?
Yes, I do. But if there's someone else, they can go before me. I don't want to hog it.
Hi, Crystal. It's me again. Can you hear me? Oh.
Yeah, I can hear you. Is that Masi?
Yeah. Hi. Hi, Chima. It's something else I wanted to like throw out there too that people don't know, because if you have like a degree and you just take training with Illinois Department of Human Services, you can convert a house into a transitional living environment, a group home, and you can get paid between $500 to $1,000 per person.
I
know
that.
Somebody, he owns 2 houses in Roseland because of the COVID. He got COVID funding. So he was renting and he converted the house to group homes, and now he owns both those properties. And he said he gets between, he's downtown, of course, between $500 to $1,000 per individual that stays in a single family house. So he has two. Again? It's called a group home, but you have to go through, you just can't do it. You need to work with like someone in social services. Like I have a master's in social work, so I have the credibility. You know, you can do a nonprofit child care center. It's funding for that through Women's Business Development Center. It's a lot of money for minority businesses right now, a lot.
And I would say definitely let's connect afterwards so that definitely. I can get more information on this, and then I can kind of, with the information that you tell me, I can kind of correlate how this can make sense for the first time home buyers, because I know like FHA there's some restrictions, but I'm the queen of hacking the system. So, you know, we definitely have to connect so that I can make sure that they can use that strategy to hack the system and make that work. But no, that's so dope. And
I wanted to share one more thing. If you're a Nigerian, you're your family, you know that this is what the Asians do. If you own property in the United States or anywhere, Canada or Europe, you own property, you can stay in the US for 6 months. I think you have to leave for 2 weeks and come back. And you have a family member in Nigeria, you're trying to bring them over here and they're professional, put their name on the deed of the property. They can get a visa to come to the US.
Oh, that's interesting.
Asians have been there forever. That's why they're over here buying up America. Donald Trump is right about that. They are buying up America. But that's the technique that's not known to a lot of people. But if you have assets of $250,000, my sister told me, because she used to work for the federal government. $250,000, that's asset, right? Property. If his property is worth $250,000 or above, you should be able, there is some type of visa they can get where they can come to the US, stay for 6 months. They have to leave, I think, like for 2 weeks, and then they can come back for another 6 months. They do that a lot in Europe.
Now that's a.
We need to start doing that as a people, because everybody else, you know, they doing that. Mexicans and everybody come over the border and stuff. We need to start coming together as people and working together. And Blackonomics for real. Blackonomics for real. That's Blackonomics.
I agree. Even like once people reference, and I feel like the session on the last Friday, whatever, the last Thursday is going to be so powerful because we're going to talk about investments. But in that call, like, we're going to be talking about how we can all scale up to get multiple properties. So the goal for me, I don't know about everybody, but my goal is to continue growing. I want to have over 100 doors. I want to have 1,000 doors. I want to be, what separates me and these people that have all these things? There's no separation. It's just knowledge and the willingness to do it. So that's a super dope strategy, because in the event that you're continually growing and increasing your portfolio, just put a one person, this portfolio, this person, another. So that's dope.
Oh, by the way, it's called an EB5 visa.
Can you say it again?
EB5.
So like letter E, the letter, or can you type it in the chat?
Like elephant, basketball, and then 5.
Oh, EB5. Okay, 5. Yes, all this information.
That's a cold move, bro. That's wow. That's cold.
That, I mean, but America is full of cold moves. Like, that's how people gain wealth. Don't think people gain wealth by doing everything, like going to work 9 to, like, no, you have to grind and literally use these little loopholes to get it, because like Masi, like you said, other cultures are doing it and they're succeeding. So, and we were succeeding too, but you know, once we have more information, we'll be even up and up and up and up and up.
So can I ask a quick question going back to Section 8?
Yeah.
So I have a family member who had the experience of renting out 2 units out of a 3-unit home to Section 8 renters. And the issue that he ran into was that the tenants were damaging the property. They were hard to get rid of. And so in the long run, it ended up costing him to have those Section 8 renters as opposed to profiting off of it. Can you give some tips, maybe from your own personal experience or someone else's, that can show us how to prevent having Section 8 tenants who will be a liability to us?
So that's such a great question. Like, and I'm glad that you said that, because a lot of people think that once you get Section 8, as soon as a Section 8 or CHA client comes to you, you automatically accept them. No, who, despite what program they're on, despite the voucher they're on, they still have to go through the same process as people that are market tenants. So you still have to screen them. You still have to look at their credit check. You still have to verify their employment. You still have to check their credit score. You still have to check their like, you still need to do all of those things to ensure that they meet your requirements, right? So once you do those things, more than likely, you would see if they're good tenants for you or if they're not good tenants for you. Another thing at my brokerage that we do, that we go over and beyond, and is that once somebody applies, we, you know, sometimes we go and take a look at their apartment, right? We say, okay, if you're interested in living here, let's go to your apartment. Let's see how you keep up with your apartment, right? So obviously when they're going to know that we're coming, right? So they're going to try to clean, but we look at the fine details, right? We try to see, like, if they have any kids, or like, how are the walls? Are there any crayons in the walls? Let's open up their cabinets. Let's see how they're keeping up with that. Let's open up their fridge. Is there a foul smell? Or are there holes in the door, right? So I think, you know, and obviously being a landlord, you are going to go through some stuff, right? So it's not like it's unavoidable, but how can we limit that hole that people actually get through, right? And I think if we properly screen people, as well as do the extra method to see like how they are, then we'll be able to avoid it. And truth be told, your intuition tells a lot. Like, so if you see somebody and you're just like, this ain't it, don't go out and rent to them because they have a cute CHA check, right? And you know that you're going to be getting all the income from them, right? So also listen to yourself, properly screen them, maybe even do the extra measure and go to their unit, go to their home, to, you know, verify how they live and how they're going to potentially keep up with your property and make that decision, right? But if you are a landlord, you will go through some things, right? So.
Can I add something too?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think she's totally right. So like, you cannot guarantee anyone would treat your property great or poorly. It's impossible to know. Section 8 has a bad reputation, yes, but I think like most things, you just have to kind of screen, right? So what I use is something called Turbo Tenant. And what it does is it screens the credit scores, eviction history, crime history, criminal history rather, and you kind of get a full like picture of this person, right? Their pay stubs, not that you need that, but for such a pay stub, yeah, I mean, that's true. So you kind of get a sense of that, and you talk to them. You kind of after a while, you kind of get a feel for how these guys, like just the energy, or just how you. It's a feeling you kind of go with. It's not a guarantee, but you kind of get a sense, and you can go visit their own homes too. But in the end, the biggest dread they have is losing their voucher, right? If they blow up your house, right, they can lose a voucher, right? And that's something that they also worry about too. So, I mean, it's like anything else is a risk. If you rent a car, then they can ruin your apartment too, you know. But like, I think sometimes we have to kind of, I mean, we have prejudices, but so far so good for me. You know what I mean? Don't be too scared of it.
Marcia, I'm going to read your comment because you said something that is a good tip, but I want to make sure that we were up to date with the housing code. So you said you can request a background check and also make it mandatory for them to be part of a social service program.
Yeah, what I was saying, I'm in social work. I've been in social service for 15 years. So you're dealing with people, more than likely they have a criminal background and they've been in some type of social services program. So you make it mandatory that they tell you the most current social service agency they're working with, have them sign a release of information, giving you rights to talk to their case manager. Or you can work with a program like Bridge, okay, through the Illinois Department of Human Services or Catholic Charities. They have housing programs. They look to place their clients and they guarantee at least 1 year's rent paid, the Catholic Charities. I worked in a housing program. You can screen, you will talk, they will have case management, mandatory case management that will follow them for that whole year. That way, you get in touch with the case manager. You have a right as a property owner to communicate with case manager because they signed a disclosure statement saying that. And they also know their rules that have to be followed. If they violate any of those rules, they can be put out the program. And that means if they lose their housing, they get put out the program. Okay, so that's another way, because when you're dealing with CHA, I'm just being honest, because I work with that population. A lot of those people have a certain mentality. A lot of the women, they get houses, they got a whole lot of kids, a whole lot of them people. I'm not trying to be mean, but that's the truth. And they bring the drug dealing boyfriend in, and then they get in a fight, and they end up destroying your property. A lot. Now there's a percentage that doesn't do that, but a lot do. And it's a way they're mitigating that. So go through social, make them, they have to, you tell them, well, to get this is a beautiful apartment for you to live here with your kids, because they don't say, yeah, sure, it's going to be me and my kids, and they're going to sneak him through the back door. So what I'm saying to you is you make it mandatory that she be in social services programs. That way you can track what's going on. So if you leave the state and you want to take a vacation, you have a case manager you can talk to. That's going to tell you this one, Lakeisha's doing this, that, and this, and she's not being compliant, and blah, blah, blah. So you have a heads up. Then another thing, too, what Catholic Charities would do, they made them sign some type of at will. Like you don't have to go through a long leafy eviction process because they signed a disclosure saying that they violated any of these rules. You give them, this is considered a 30, it goes from a 1 year to a 30-day notice, and you have 30 days to vacate with a month-to-month lease. You ain't got to worry about nobody sitting in your apartment for 6 months because that's what they do. They sit because they know the law. A lot of people underestimate, they know the law. They wait for it to get cold.
I was just about to ask about that.
Month to month. My brother's an attorney. I have 2 attorneys on a month. Now, unfortunately, it happened to me, so that's why I know. Month to month, they have you're given 30 days to vacate the unit. And the reason that the landlords are losing out because they make people like that sign a yearly lease thinking they're gonna get more money. No, you make them sign a month to month because in the long run, if they try to stay, they signed a month to month lease. So you don't have to go through that. You gotta wait 6 months or 12 months and all, and they just sit and get all that and sit in your unit for 12 months without paying rent. And I'm gonna tell you something else they can do. A lot of them don't know this, but so do you know, if they're paying you rent, they can file a chapter 7 or 13. You can't take them to court by law. If they file a 13, you got to go to federal court to get them evicted. And that could take another 6 months. But they're not that smart. So I'm just telling you, I know. They're not that smart. They're smart, but they're kind of slow. So, but that's what you do. You make them, you go through social service agencies. That's what I'm telling people, because they always are looking for places to house people. And you're just going to get a lot of people with criminal backgrounds. I'm just so you know, criminal backgrounds, and they've been in the system for some time, and some have many kids that you know, but you make them go through social service programs, and it's mandatory for them to stay there, and they sign an agreement. So if they sign an agreement to this, then you go to court and say, well, Judge, Lakeisha signed this. She knew the conditions. She can't stay. The judge is going to tell them, well, you have to vacate. We give you 30 days. If she says she ain't got nowhere to go, you call a case manager. She broke the rules of the program. Case management, Catholic Charities has shelters. She can go to a family shelter. She has somewhere to go, because that's what they say too in court, because that's how they get more time. So they know the system very well. They know the system very well, and they play that game. You better go through Illinois Department of Aging if you want to get a permanent check, or the VA, because VA also tries to house people and you get more money.
Yeah, so I definitely want to put my information in here. So, and this is going a different route than the smart buy, but I think
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I think it's very important information that all of us need to be aware of. But also, I would even encourage you to maybe have conversations with your lawyer friends. So at least on what I'm hearing, or your relatives that are lawyers, because on my end, looking at the housing rules, they increased it. So it's no more if you have a month-to-month lease. Before, yes, you issue a 30-day notice and they're out. If they're not, you can issue an eviction or whatever. But now I think Chicago lawyer Lightfoot, you guys know her name, she extended it. So if you've been in an apartment for 3 years or more, or I think it's either 2 or 3 years.
In 3/4 of a mile.
You have to
turn right on Prospect Avenue.
20-day notice. Can everybody mute themselves? It's kind of a bit noisy, but you have to give them a 120-day notice. If they've been there for, I think, a year or less, you have to give them a 60-day notice. So those, and now also another housing rule that changed is that you can't run their background check anymore. If they find out that you run your background check, that's a fair housing violation, right? So you kind of definitely want to, even before this year, there was I think my coworker told me that there was 5 housing rules that changed in the past 5 years or whatever. But in this year and last year specifically, there has been more than 12 rules and laws have changed, right? So I definitely, even though this is a lot, don't be scared. Don't think this is overwhelming. But I think it's also important to know that, yes, landlording, owning property is a great opportunity. You are going to cash flow. You're going to be like, oh, this is the best thing of my life. But then there's also going to be times that you're like, oh my God, Jesus, if you are here, I need you to come down right now, because I can't. So there's experience. So I mean, definitely take heed to everybody's, insight, and definitely use it. But I would say, don't let it scare you. Obviously, schedule a conversation with, reach out to anybody that you see that, you think can give you value. Obviously, please, just reach out to me, and we'll be able to go from there. But don't let it scare you. It is something to be aware of. But small tip, that's why I also created the 31 things I wish I knew before I closed my property. And I go through literally lessons that I've learned in owning property, because it was a hard year. I make it look cute, and it is cute on Instagram, but it was a hard year, because nobody taught me this. I didn't know this. So if you're interested, I put the link all the way at the top of the chat. I did make a discount code for NAPA people that are here. I gave you guys a code of $20.01. So the ebook is literally $9.99, which is unheard of. And I'm going to definitely bring it back up to full price after we probably tomorrow or a little bit after we get off this live. So definitely get it if you can, or if you're interested. But there's a lot of things that you want to know when being a landlord. And I think using this program to help you get there is a great opportunity, because one is helping you eliminate your student loans, but also you're also seeing some type of cash flow, or at least cash flow when you leave, once you buy that property, right? So yeah, I guess, and we can, I mean, some final things that I have in my notes that I definitely wanted to just mention is that there is a max on properties that a max on the amount that you can buy. So for example, if you want to buy like a single family home, condo, townhome, the most you can spend is $326,781. If you do want to buy a 2-unit, the most you can spend is $418,000. This process, I always tell people you definitely want to interview your realtors, right? But I'm always going to shout out myself. But if you do decide to use this program, know that it is a little bit different than a regular loan. So you have to work with professionals that know this information and that's able to help you, because if you're working with your family friend or your cousin or your best friend that just became a realtor, they may not be able to give you that information, and it may cost you your dream home. So this process does take a little bit longer, because not only are you closing a property, you also do have to go through IDA so that they can verify your education and do extra steps, right? So on the contracts, I can't put a 30-day close, because I know darn well it's not going to close in 30 days, right? So I have to put, maybe 45, 50, 55 days until closing, and also have a conversation with the listing agent and let them know what's up, so that they're aware, and that when we do get to that 30, 35, 40-day process, when the other side wants to close, they have an understanding on why we should wait a bit, so we can, make this home your dream home and make it the home that you want to get, right? So for this program, you cannot work with any loan officers. The loan officers were selected by, I guess, IDA, and they had to take a course. So obviously, if you're interviewing lenders, please ask them if they have the ability to do the IDA or the Smart Buy loan. Because if they can't, that's not the loan officer for you. But if you decide to work with me, remember, I have the team. Just come to me and I'll bring you everybody. So I definitely have a preferred lender who is well versed in this category, and that can be able to assist. There are no restrictions in terms of location. So anywhere you want to live in Illinois, you can use this program. A lot of times people come and ask me that, they're like, hey, Crystal, I'm working for this job and they're willing to put this to I guess the closing, put $5,000 or $10,000 to my closing. Can I use this in conjunction with the Smart Buy program? And with my specific loan officer, she says no, because more than likely those programs don't want to be a third lien on that property. So it really just depends on who you go to. So just make sure, for the different loan officers that you talk to, ask them or tell them about the program. Make sure you explain everything, and they'll be able to tell you if they are able to do it. But more than likely, from what I'm getting, they do not allow third liens. Another cool thing about this program that I do not want to forget is that they do offer gift funds. So you can do a gift fund, right? So a gift fund is what we usually see on the FHA side. And what it is that an immediate family member can give you money for closing. So for example, for me, I'm going to use my example. I think I got to really figure out, it's literally 17 to 20,000 that I brought, but I think I did not have enough. So my mom, I asked my mom, or I got a gift fund from my mom for $3,000. So she was able to give me $3,000 to close on my property. So you can use a gift fund to even, let's say if you need more money to close the loan, because remember, we have to pay the whole loan versus the individual, partial payments. You can get a gift fund to pay that loan, right? So if you have a remaining 10,000 and your mom has 10,000 to give you, or your dad has 10,000 to give you to pay off the loan, so that you can use your other money for down payment and closing costs, you can definitely use a gift fund for that. So that's super duper cool. There is a small program that you have to take. It's called the Home Buyer Education class to be able to be qualified. But look, if somebody's willing to pay your student loans, I think I'll even go back to school for that one. Probably not. I'm just joking. And yeah, I think that's all the information that I have in my notes for the Smart Buy program. If anybody wants to ask questions specifically for Smart Buy and how they can or any questions, concerns, what you're stuck on, like allow me to be a resource and break those questions down for you.
I have a question.
What's up?
So you say you can buy anything in Illinois. Does that also include maybe to buy a farm? Or is this just strictly residential?
That's a great question. So I would say definitely ask a loan officer, but in my opinion, I think it's strictly residential.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and also another question too. You said, maybe you answered this earlier, but if you do own property, does that mean that you're not eligible for this program? Or you said that yes and no earlier, and I was kind of confused.
Yeah, that's a good question. So if you currently own property right now, you are not eligible for this program unless you sell the property. So if you had a property and you sold it and you don't have any more properties right now, you're eligible. But if you own property right now, you're not eligible.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Somebody did.
Oh, one more question. I'm sorry, one more question, please. What if you don't own property, but you are a partner in an LLC that owns property?
Wow, that's a good question. Well, so since you're LLC and you are separate entities, then in my head, I think that it's fine. Because you own, that's a good question. It's two separate entities. So technically it should be fine. But I would definitely push back on asking a lender. That as a general question, not specifically, just so you can get that answer. But from my experience, you create an LLC to separate liability. It's two separate entities, so it should still work if it's in that entity versus your name, if you don't have any properties in your name. Someone asked, so if I had a conventional loan in the past, can I get an FHA loan as it is my first property? As a first-time home buyer, it really just depends on the reason. So I would definitely say talk to your lender on why you're moving and how you can make it work to be in an So for example, let's say, man, it's just a lot of scenarios. So I would definitely say push back on a lender so that they'll be able to answer your specific scenario and be able to provide the best answer for you. Man. Someone said they don't see my email. I'm going through messages right now. I'm putting my email out for people that are interested. I mean, but while I'm going through, messages, does anybody have any questions, concerns? Did they learn something? Was it useful? Like, what is going through your head? Because I know I just said a lot.
I have a question. I came in a little late, so I don't know how this is gonna work. I see your recording. Would you be able to email the recording to all of us, or like how does that work?
Choma, do you have an answer, or anybody on the exec board?
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, everyone that is attending tonight will receive the recording, and we try to get it out to all of our members. But everyone tonight will receive the recording within a couple days time.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm just looking through the questions to see if I missed any questions. I think I answered pretty much all of it. So remember with this I'll get rid of my phone. Okay, so it's important to remember that this student loan is awesome, to be quite frank, but it offers two things in the program. The first thing is that they give you that 15% towards your student loan. So the goal is to eliminate the whole thing. There's no partial payments. So in the event that 15% doesn't cover your whole student loan, you would be expected to pay that amount at closing, right? Also, it's preferred that you have a 660, but some lenders are willing to work with you if you have a 640. So also keep that in mind. Also, another thing about this program, they do give you up to $5,000 towards your down payment and closing costs. So also keep that in mind. This process does take a little bit longer. So you want to make sure that the people that you choose to work for you are very experienced in this area, because I promise you, this month, I don't know what was going on, but every transaction was crazy. And you want to have a realtor that's able to say, okay, this is crazy, but we're gonna get you to the closing table no matter what. So you want to work with somebody that has that experience, just to bring you to the closing table and get that home that you desire. Anybody have any more questions for me? Okay, cool beans. So again, you guys, my name is Crystal Wakocha. Online, I go as Crystal Adamma. I am a realtor, I'm a landlord, I am a content creator, and my goal is really just to inform people that are like me or people that are interested in real estate and really say like, hey, although it seems hard, but with me on your team or with the information that I'm giving you, this is very, very easy, and you are not dumb, or you don't have the, or you have the capacity to do everything that everyone has spoke about today. You are no different. It's just that you need a little bit more information, and we all have to start somewhere. I do have an ebook that I feel like is just so valuable. It's literally all the lessons that I learned in my first year of real estate. I've spent thousands of dollars of mistakes. I don't want to say mistakes, but I just didn't know, and I didn't have anybody really to direct me or for me to kind of go to that kind of look like me. So I created an ebook, and I was like, hey, let me create this ebook talking about all the lessons that I learned. And it's dope. It's really dope. It's listed for $30, but I gave NAPA a discount code for $20.01, and that is crazy. So I will be changing that. I will be changing that shortly after we get off this, Zoom call. So if you're interested, definitely go to theyounglandlord.com. Again, it's theyounglandlord.com. Click on the menu button, go to shop, and you'll see that ebook, put NAPA to get your discount, and then, we'll go from there. But if you guys have any questions, concerns, or if you want to work with me as your realtor, please feel free to email me at adammatherealtor.com. Again, it's ADAMMA, therealtor.com, and, we could definitely work together. But thank you for listening to my spiel and information, and I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you guys next week. Choma, can you, close us out, girl?
Perfect, Crystal. I think you did a great job of closing us out, and truly enjoyed this session and all the gems that you've dropped for us tonight. It's nice to see that we also have some other landlords on the phone as well, as Black people and African Americans, Nigerians. We're in every industry, so that's always great to see. But yeah, I mean, some things that I picked up that I like and want to quote out, the knowledge and willingness to do it. That's really, for me, it's like, yeah, you have the knowledge, but you have to have the willingness to actually go and do it. It's very different things, but yeah, this call is recorded, so we will be sending out the clip to everyone that registered tonight, as well as our NAPA members. So look out for that in an email. We will be meeting again next Thursday and the following Thursday. So please join us and just come back for more. This was just so great. And we thank you so much, Crystal. I know I'll definitely keep in touch with you on some personal questions, but this was very helpful. And if anyone else has any more questions, there's still some time. We have remaining about 10 minutes. So any other questions that are related to tonight's topic, please feel free to drop them or ask us now or send her an email. give
And
her a
Trump,
phone
I
call.
think what you said was interesting about the willingness to do it. I think now we're in a day and age where now we're seeing more people that look like us, that are young, that are doing it. So when you decide to do it, you're not by yourself. You have, even if
Right.
it's not a village, but you have a person that you can say, oh my goodness, Crystal, my what happened to me? My what goodness. My oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Like the plumbing doesn't work. Like,
Yeah.
what do I do? Because when it happens, and your brain doesn't process, get a plumber. Like, who is a plumber? Like, it's hard, you know? So remember, you're not doing this by yourself. Like, you have my email. I have given my number, like, to everyone, to be honest. So definitely email me, or we can schedule a call through Zoom and use me as a resource. There should be no reason why you cannot do it, because I'm here. The other people that are on this call, Mozzie, Lo was here, or they're here, you know, so definitely use us as a resource. And, you know, there should be no excuse. We're here to assist.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, and that's what we're all about here, sharing the resources, you know, and promoting our community and people that look like us, because we are out here moving and shaking a lot of different parts in the industry today. And you know, just a platform like NAPA and having Crystal as a resource, it's just how magic happens, and how knowledge is gained, and how action can be taken to just improve our lives and keep it moving.
No, I'm excited.
Yeah.
And I mean, like she said, we do have a little bit of time. So if you have any questions, even if it's like, what is 1 + 1? I'm gonna be like, girl, it's 2. You know, so even if you think it's so dumb, like, ask it. I'm here to assist. Like you guys don't understand. I'm so passionate about this. So if you have any questions, ask us. But if you don't, I'm gonna carry on and, you know, enjoy my evening.
Hi, I have a question. Is there any type of monies that you're aware of that will allow you to buy commercial property as a first-time home buyer?
That's a good question. Man, that's such a good question. Commercial property.
Mm-hmm.
So you definitely won't be able to go through the FHA route because it's for your primary residence. You may be able to do conventional, but it would definitely be at a higher percentage rate. So depending on how they qualify it, it would probably be 15 to 20% down that you have to put. There are another financing options that you can use: hard money loans. Hard money loans, the difference between traditional is a 30-year mortgage. Hard money loans, the goal is to pay them their money back in 12 months. So that you either sell the property, or what may work better for you is refinance it into a 30-year mortgage. So that may be an option for you. But yeah, that's all the options that I have as of right now.
Okay.
And like I always tell people, so like if you're, and I mean, everybody's different and everybody's businesses is different, but I know a lot of us, we're starting out like in new businesses and stuff like that. So what I encourage people to do is, you know, use an FHA 203K loan, and we're going to talk about this later, but 203K loan, and finish the basement so that your business could be held in the basement. And obviously use that 203K loan and make it really pretty. So don't just come on, puts like the cement floors and it looks like a jail in your basement. Like, no, make it pretty for your business. So you know that, okay, now that I own this multifamily building, I'm going to service my business in my building to save up on space costs and stuff like that. So that when I do grow, you know, it will probably be a place that's better suited for me. So I really talk about finishing that basement and having your business in that basement, and using the FHA 203K renovation loan to be able to help with that.
Okay. So it'll be considered like a home-based business.
Well, I guess I guess, but you won't tell the lender this information. To the lender, you're just purchasing a multifamily building and finishing the basement. They don't need to know what you're doing, why you're doing it. It just has to make sense. But you know, it has to make sense.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any more questions?
I sent you my contact information too in the chat.
Yes, I definitely took a picture of it, and I also put mine as well. No, we're definitely going to have to connect.
Thank you.
Mhm. I mean, Choma, looks like everybody has got all the information. They're jazzing up.
Looks
They're
like
like, wow.
everyone is tired and sleeping and full of information.
I know.
But we'll be back next week.
Look, be back. I promise. It's going to be, my favorite topic, living for free. Oh, it's just entering my soul. But you guys definitely, tune in to NAPA and, email us if you have any questions.
Yes, we shall continue. And with that, good night, everyone. I'll hang around for a little bit if anyone would like to ask any questions, share any comments or anything of that sort. I'll hang out till about 9 o'clock and end the meeting. Thank you so much, Crystal, and thank you everyone for coming out. And I hope you enjoyed tonight's session.
Thank you.
Yes. Thanks, Lo.
You guys have a good one.
Cheers.
Good night. Okay, that dwindled pretty quickly.
I know.
Great.
Adamma, if you're still
Recording.
on, hey girl.